Now let's join our palms with utmost reverence, and together we are inviting His Holiness to bestow Buddha Dharma teaching. First, we pay homage to the lineage gurus, to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming, to Master Satya Zengkong, to Shung Rinpoche, to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa, and Master Thupten Darji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar, and homage to the main deity of Homa today, Maitreya Bodhisattva, the Champa Buddha. Simu, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples present here and over the webcast, and our distinguished guests today, the Director General Ambassador Liao from the Taipei Economic and Cultural Center in Houston, Texas, and Mrs. Liao. And the accountant to the Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa and her husband, and the wife of the chairman of the board for the Overseas Royalty Credit Fund, Ms. Vivian Wang, Dr. Zhang, Dr. Lin, and Dr. Huang. Good afternoon. How do you do? May all be auspicious. Today we had Maitreya Bodhisattva's Homa, and Maitreya Bodhisattva is a great bodhisattva after the time of Sakyamuni Buddha, and he is the future Buddha. And we know there were the past 7 Buddhas, and the present Sakyamuni Buddha, and the future Maitreya Buddha. That's how we say. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha and Maitreya Bodhisattva were learning together under a Buddha called Tisa Buddha. So Tisa Buddha had 2 great disciples. One is Sakyamuni Buddha, and the other is Maitreya Buddha. Actually, according to Tisa Buddha's observation, Maitreya Buddha should have attainment first, the highest attainment. And Sakyamuni Buddha second. And in observing the karma, the affinities, Sakyamuni Buddha has more connections with sentient beings, and Maitreya Buddha had less. That's why he led Sakyamuni Buddha to come to the Saha world first to deliver sentient beings. So finally, the Buddha that had most connections or karmic relations with the sentient beings is Sakyamuni Buddha, and then Maitreya Buddha. And Maitreya Bodhisattva has many sutras. The first one is the future birth of Maitreya Buddha in the future. That's the most important one. And then Maitreya Buddha would return, would ascend, and then would deliver all the sentient beings. But is it possible to deliver all of them? That's the question. Because sentient beings arise or exist because of their ignorance. So they come out of ignorance and they leave to ignorance. And the future Buddha. Maitreya Bodhisattva is on his last life before he became a Buddha. So you can call him Maitreya Bodhisattva or Maitreya Buddha. And the other one is the Lotus Light Buddha. So 3,000 Buddhas. So out of the 3,000 Buddhas, one is Maitreya Buddha, and then the Lotus Light Buddha, and then one more is the leader, is called Lo Zi Fo, and also called Da Quan Shen Wang Fo. So that's Wei Tuo, which is this deity here, Wei Tuo, or Skanda. And he is also referred as Luo Zi Buddha, Luo Zi Buddha. So today we practice Maitreya Buddha. Maitreya Bodhisattva descended, and the great Buddha was presiding over the Homa, and Wei Tuo, Skanda or Luo Zi Buddha are here too. So this is the gathering of 3 Buddhas. That's a very rare occasion. So Wei Tuo or Skanda in the future become a Buddha and called the Luo Zi Buddha. And Padma Kumara will become a Buddha and called the Lotus Light Self-Mastery Buddha. And Maitreya Bodhisattva in the future will become a Buddha and will be called Maitreya Buddha. So these are the Da Quan Shen Wang Fo. So this may sound superior, of a superiority, but it is the reality. Why is Maitreya Buddha so great? He would descend on the Saha world to deliver sentient beings. Actually, he had high attainments. So he is the great Bodhisattva who is. So he's the coming Buddha. So basically standby Buddha. So like you already passed the exams for the Buddhas, but you're just waiting for the timing. Then you would become a Buddha. Actually, he has attained Buddhahood a long time ago, but he's just waiting. So like Buddha in waiting. So the Buddhas in waiting would be like in the waiting list. In the first Maitreya Buddha, Lotus Light Buddha, and Bija Buddha, and then the other 3,000 Buddhas are waiting to be Buddhas. So there are many of them, 3,000 Buddhas, who knows still when. So when we read the 3,000 Buddha repentance, you would know. Actually, there are uncountable, innumerable Buddhas, and they all have supreme and perfect enlightenment. And once you have gained that realization, you would understand everything. Without it, then you're just groveling in the dark. And then if you got like say a shrimp, or in the dark water, if you catch a clam or a piece of shrimp and you think that's Buddha Dharma, actually, or caught by a shark and you may be eaten by the shark, because Buddha Dharma is like the ocean. So according to what the Dakinis and the Buddhas saying, other than the sutras that appeared in the Saha world, in the Dragon Palace, there are also lots of sutras. And also in the heavenly realms, in the Aomin realm and the Dakini's places, there are many sutras that you don't see in the world. So the sutras, discourses and precepts, and the Tripitaka and the 12 divisions, and also sutras that's of early time. If you want to understand, if you understand the ultimate truth, then you would understand the Buddha Dharma. Actually, everything is Buddha Dharma. There isn't anything that's not Buddha Dharma. This is very important. So today we invoke Maitreya Bodhisattva to descend and accept the offerings. And Maitreya Bodhisattva did descend. And we prayed to him to bless all people so that all of your wishes come true. And his Pure Land, he's in his Pure Land waiting to descend. And his Pure Land is called Tusita Heaven, the inner quarter of the Tusita Heaven. Tusita Heaven is the outer quarter, there's an inner quarter, and the inner quarter is decided by Maitreya Bodhisattva. The Pure Land is inside the Tusita Heaven, the inner quarter. So there are many people that went to the Maitreya Bodhisattva's place according to the sutras, like the 5 Buddhas. Uzo, Asanga, Vasupandu, they all went to Maitreya Bodhisattva. Asanga, in the Saha world, give Dharma teaching, and when people ask questions and he couldn't answer, he went to the place of Maitreya Bodhisattva and get the answers, and then the second day, Asanga would give the answers. So Asanga is considered as part of the consciousness-only school. So he's the leader there, the first. And Maitreya Bodhisattva has created many sutras. The Madhyamaka? No, the many sutras. He should have been descended first to deliver sentient beings, but because his karmic relation with the sentient beings are a bit less than Sakyamuni Buddha, that's why Sakyamuni Buddha descended first. So all the contentions in the world are due to delusion and ignorance. Of course, we cannot say who's the one that's deluded. But there's this joke. It's just for fun. Don't be too serious. Don't take it too seriously. So someone passed through a fashion shop, and there was a sign, a big sign. And first, it's written that the island, Diaoyitai Island, if you exclaim that Diaoyitai belongs to China, then you get 10% off. If you exclaim that Diaoyitai belongs to Taiwan, then you get 20% off. If you exclaim Diaoyitai belongs to Japan, then you get 50% off. Wow. Higher? That's something wrong, right? It must be upside down. Those who say that Diaoyitai belongs to China or to Taiwan, they get half off. Those who say that Diaoyitai belongs to China, they get 30% off. And those who say that Diaoyitai belongs to Japan, they got 10% off. This is better, right? I don't know. I never buy things, so I don't even know about these discounts. So someone saw that the female boss is very young and beautiful. So if I exclaim that you belong to me, how much discount do I get? And she answered, I would beaten you till you break your bones. But in Chinese it rhymes, so it's more fun in Chinese. Actually, human world is filled with foolishness, and you contend and you fight and argue. At the end, they are all empty. I've never seen anyone that owe or own something forever. Not a single person can own this world, not even a country. So you contend and argue and fight for something. That's just all delusion and foolishness. I often said this, that when the Buddha sees sentient beings just like we are seeing the ants, it's like two ant countries are fighting. Will we pay attention? No, possible. This is stupid. So this ant fight with another ant. How is that related to us? So it's the same when this country fight with that country. What is the relation to the Buddha? Why? So the wars between countries, they are all just foolishness, and also the wars between the ants are also foolishness. It's unrelated to the Buddhas. Well, maybe all of a sudden an ant country disappeared because of that. So actually all the contention in the world, that's foolishness. It's better to calm yourself down and cultivate. So Sakyamuni Buddha is also called the capable one, Sakyamuni Buddha. So from the universe, the one who can execute the benevolence out of the Sakya plan. Sakya clan, Sakyamuni Buddha. Moni means benevolence. That he could apply the benevolence in the world. And Maitreya Bodhisattva, he is called Tze, is compassion. Compassion. Samaya. That's why he's also called the compassionate one, Bodhisattva. And in Tibetan, he's called Champa Buddha. One can execute benevolence and the other one could execute compassion. But if you don't do that, like when people in wars, they're very cruel. That's not compassion and benevolence. But if you really can give sentient beings happiness and peace and ease, one that can do that, that's called the benevolent one or the compassionate one. So as a spiritual cultivator, we need to practice and to understand compassion and benevolence and not cruelty, like in wars. Like when you fight each other, you perform aggression and argue and contend. So please make sure, please pay attention that you practice this kindness, benevolence, compassion, something that we should have as a spiritual cultivator. Without them, you're definitely not a Buddha and not a Bodhisattva and not a sage. You're just showing your cruelty. So between countries, between tribes, between groups, between families, inside the family, you should be kind and compassionate. So this way, then it would be the global world. And this is the philosophy of Confucius, could never be applied. Why? Because everybody is self-centered. But of course there are good people who are very kind and benevolent, but there are also some people who are very cruel and mean and evil. So to have higher realization, we have to practice this compassion, benevolence, kindness. If you want to fall down, then you train in hatred, cruelty, forcefulness. So what is good karma and bad karma? You need to remember and know what's bad karma and what's good karma. When it is bad karma, don't do it. If it is good karma, then you want to do it the best you can. So this is to increase your good affinity. So today we train in Maitreya Bodhisattva. So he is the compassionate Buddha, Bodhisattva, and he entered into the compassionate Samadhi, Samaya. And Sakyamuni Buddha is very benevolent, and Maitreya Bodhisattva is very compassionate. human beings have lots of habitual tendencies, and in spiritual cultivation we want to train to cut off and eliminate these habitual tendencies bit by bit until they're all gone. So we have a joke here. On the dance floor, there's a lady with a stranger dancing, and the lady asks, "You're a very mysterious man." And then when I dance with you, the song seems to be very short. And then the man replied, "It's nothing strange about it, because the conductor of the orchestra is my fiancé." That's self-centeredness. I've said this before. There's a man and his wife went to the mall, and then all of a sudden the wife is gone. And the wife find a beautiful girl and ask her to help him. How? So why don't you just talk to me for a while? Because my wife disappeared. But her habitual tendency is, if I talk to a beautiful girl, she would appear right away. So she can help like this. So that's a very interesting thing. Wives also have the 1,000 miles sighting. At the same time, they could hear 1,000 miles ears. They could hear and they could see from a faraway place. Today we will continue on chapter 32 on preventing light drops leakage. So what is light drops? Light drops are inside our body, and inside our body, light drops are the hormones. There isn't any place inside our body without hormones. When the hormones decreases, then there would be problems in the area, any area. Not just talking about the cement and the blood, but the whole body is filled with light drops. And light drops are the hormone. When your hormone decreases, just like a flower, it would start to wilt. Like when the sleep hormone decreases, then you start to lose sleep. When the enzyme in your stomach decreases, then you would have stomach problem. When the saliva decreases, then you age. So any parts of our body has light drops. Like in the skin, it ages. It has all the old spot, the marks. That means the light drops decreases. But if your skin is still soft and your face is radiant, that's because you have enough hormone or light drops. If you age, that means the hormones have leaked. There are two kinds of hormones. One belongs to the mind, and one is material. So the material light drops is hormones. And the intangible light drops, it's things in your mind, your sadness, your depression, your etc. Spiritual cultivator has to maintain the material light drops that they don't leak, and second, your mind light drops also never leak, including your afflictions. You have no afflictions. You have no sadness. no worries. It's the same as you have no mind. Your mind or heart is clear, transparent, pure, uncontaminated, the original mind. So this is the Lu Jin Tong, which is the one of the 6 transcendental power, where you have leaked out all your problems or afflictions. So in order to live long, you have to have light drops. Without light drops, it's impossible for you to live a long time. So the material light drops and the mind light drops are combined. So preventing light drops leakage. According to the teachings of the path and its fruit or lamdari, a practitioner's light drops leakage is a great fault. It's a kind of fault, a great fault. Especially what was written in the Kalachakra Tantra was most shocking. It said when there is leakage, there is a fall, downfall into the 3 lower realms. Because you haven't finished leaking. It doesn't mean that you leak everything out, but it means you completely eliminate all your afflictions, your worries and thoughts. Your mind only has emptiness and light, clear radiance, clarity and radiance. So when the light drop is leaked out of your body, then when there is a leak, there is a downfall into the 3 lower realms. Actually, there are various kinds of leakages. They are categorized as 1, leakage due to ecstasy and fullness, because you have too much light drops and you don't know how to use them. You accumulate light drops until it is lots of them, but you don't know how to use them. And then it becomes full. It's like when you're pouring water, the glass is full, then it would overflow. So this is the leakage due to fullness. Second is leakage in dreams due to the habitual tendencies of evil spirits. Because the ghost would transform to become a beautiful lady, and then in the dreams at night, you're together with the beautiful lady, and then you leak. That's the leakage in dreams. It's just like the spring dreams. The spring dreams have no marks, but the water flowed to the east. Leakage due to fluid problems due to sicknesses. Some people, when they urinate, they would leak because they have disease or they are sick. They cannot control. So in the bodily secretion, they leak out the light drops. Leakage due to the greedy desire, due to connection with a consort. Too much desire, too greedy. Because in spiritual cultivation, with the consort, and you're too greedy, you would leak. So you need to cure the greed with greed, and you need to learn how to stop the greed. And you change your thinking to something else. Then don't look at the consort, then look at the light, or look at another picture, or think of other thing, other picture. Just think of other things. That's the way to stop the greed with greed. Although you're doing the greed, you want to stop the greed. So this is the way to stop the greed with greed. And the time would last a long time. And your thoughts are not on the consort. And the things that the consort create, like the smell, things that the nose smells, things that the eyes hear, the things that the ears hear, like the sound of the consort and the touching feeling of the consort. But if you don't see, you don't hear, you don't smell at this time, you use the method of stopping greed with greed, then you will not leak in amidst the greed. So, leads you to greedy desire with the consort is because you're too greedy, because you have seen her bodily look, and your ears hear her voice or sound, your nose smell her fragrance, and etc. So you will leak because of that, and so you have to learn how to stop the greed with greed. The same with eating. When I was young, you know what I drank? I drank the head of the ginseng tea. You know, this kind of tea would let your heart droop, and it's called Matsushita, like the company of Japan. But it's actually drooping like this. It's another play of word of Chinese. When I was young, and if I tonify myself, then I would